That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, I'm sorry. I probably should have done a better job about this, but I completely forgot to tell y'all that we have that fantasy group chat for completely free down below if you want to get involved in either a fantasy basketball group chat or a dynasty fantasy football group chat. That's both going to be in the same spot in our Discord chat. There are multiple different channels so you can talk about exactly what you would like to. So trust me, you're not going to be getting hit with some fantasy football stuff in the fantasy basketball channel. So there is where you're going to join. Go down there, join the fantasy flock. I know y'all have already joined the flock by subscribing to the channel, and I owe y'all a massive, massive thank you for doing so. I mean, the flock is growing every single day with hundreds of new members, and I really am appreciative for everybody that has gone down there and dropped a like on the video to help us get recommended to new listeners. But regardless, let's stop talking about the fantasy football group chat. Let's get into this video and let's talk about some impact injuries that we have been tracking through this fantasy basketball season. And let's start it off with some major news in TJ Warren having surgery to repair a stress fracture. I mean, this is not good. We are reading multiple reports. One says that TJ Warren is out indefinitely. Another is saying he should be out until about February 15th. Regardless, I mean, this is a brutal blow to anybody who has been planning on playing TJ Warren in their fantasy basketball leagues. He was averaging this season 29 minutes, 15 points, 3.5 rebounds, and assists. So obviously, he was a heavy utilized player in this rotation. And if we're looking at where these minutes could possibly be going in this rotation now, I think that we are going to be looking at Aaron Holiday. And I don't know how excited that we can get about him. But here, TJ Warren, I mean, looks like he is going to be going on your IR. Really sucks to see this happen. Okay, so now our next player that we're going to talk about is probably the most devastating injury that we're going to discuss. And this is going to be Jamal Morant. Okay, so here with Morant, I mean, he has a grade 2 left ankle sprain. If you watched the injury, I mean, honestly, this is probably best case scenario. It looked like it was going to be significantly worse than this. He's going to be out anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks. Honestly, I'm probably expecting him to be out at the very minimum 4 weeks, knowing that this team really has no playoff aspirations this year given the injury, given the shortened season. And when you have a young star like this, yes, you want him to see some game action. Yes, you want him to be able to get those minutes in to develop. But the last thing you need to do is rush him back when you can just sit him for an extra 2 weeks to make sure he's 100% good to go. So if you have anybody in your league that is seeing the 3 to 5 week timetable and they're eyeing that as, oh, I could trade for Jamal Murray at a very cheap discount and then have him back in 3 weeks, I would love to trade Ja away for the best offer that you can receive based on the fact that I think that we are going to be a lot closer to seeing him out 5 weeks rather than 3. And then here, if we're looking at who is going to take over for his minutes, I think we are going to see this be Tyus Jones, and he should be seeing heavy minutes in this rotation. Given the fact that Jamal Murray was up there, we know that he was a 30-plus minute per game player, a 30-plus point per game player, if you look at how he started this season so far. So there are a ton of minutes available, especially if you consider the fact that Jaren Jackson is going to be out for a significant period of time still. I mean, here it's going to be something that we need to monitor in the next few games without Ja, but it's going to be something that I think has some opportunity. Okay, so now let's go over to another star that we need to talk about. And let's talk about KarlAnthony Towns, who of course is dealing with that wrist injury. And I had read some conflicting reports earlier this week. It looked like the reports were saying that KarlAnthony Towns was going to miss a significant amount of time. The last report I read sounds like KarlAnthony Towns could be back in early January. So please, if y'all have anything that I am overlooking here, let us know down in the comments. But it looks like Naz Reid should be the replacement for KarlAnthony Towns. But if you look at the production that we've seen him have as of late without KarlAnthony Towns in this rotation, I am truly not too interested in him, as he has not been able to get anything going in terms of his per 36 numbers. I don't think that he's a player, even with the increased minutes in the rotation, that we should be interested in putting in our starting lineup. Okay, so now our next player, a little piece of good news, is it looks like Draymond Green should be probable for his game on Friday. Obviously, we know that Draymond Green's coming back with that foot injury. He also needs to play himself into shape. And here with Green, I'll say I am very intrigued in seeing how he is going to operate with Wiseman in this rotation. I really don't know what we are going to be expecting from this new Warriors team, and that we have so many moving pieces from 2019 to 2020. And obviously, this is nothing close to what we had for the Warriors dynasty a few seasons ago. So with Draymond Green, obviously, we love the fact that he is coming back as this team desperately needs some more playmakers. But I think it's going to be something that we have to monitor before we can just jam him in. Okay, so now our next player, not dealing with an injury, but I felt like we needed to bring him up anyway. Russell Westbrook looks like he is going to be resting on Friday yet again. So here, it's a very intriguing situation where, yes, it looks like Westbrook could easily average a triple-double in the games that he plays. But if he's going to continue to sit out back-to-backs, I mean, clearly that's going to be a major hit to his fantasy value. I did not expect this. I don't know if I just overlooked it during draft season. We knew that he was going to be rested a good amount, but is he going to be rested after every single back-to-back? Something that we need to monitor, something that we need to look more into. Now, our next player is going to be Jamal Murray with his right elbow contusion. Looks like he should be good to go, and Monte Morris is going to be going back to the bench. Now, with Jamal Murray, y'all know this is a player that was going very high in fantasy drafts. He was fantastic in the bubble in 2020. My problem with him, though, is I just don't necessarily view him as a player that is going to be an impact guy for the price that you drafted him in terms of his value in a 9-category league. Here, it's going to be something that I want to see in him improving those assists, rebounds, steals, blocks numbers. I need to see all those categories be up. I can't see him only be a point scorer. Now, our next player is going to be Terrence Ross. Looks like he is going to be back soon with his right hamstring. I mean, Gary Clark is his fill-in. Not worth looking at, in my opinion, if you look at his per 36 numbers. But Terrence Ross is someone that needs to be coming back to make an impact in that rotation. Now, a very, very sad piece of news is going to be Spencer Dinwiddie tearing his ACL out for the season. Now, I know a lot of people are going to run over and see Karis LeVert, and assuming that he is going to get more minutes, he's going to be an impact player for the rest of the season. But what this tells me is I think that we actually see now a little bit of hustle for the Brooklyn Nets to go out there and possibly make a trade for James Harden, possibly get another veteran that is currently sitting in free agency, just because we really need to see more depth to this team. We know that Kyrie Irving should be missing a decent amount of games this season. And if you do not have Spencer Dinwiddie, it's going to completely change the way that rotation looks, especially with games that Kyrie Irving misses. And now our next player is going to be Cody Zeller with his hand injury. It looks like he should not be back until the very end of January, and his fill-in for the time being should be Bismack Biyombo, a player that is intriguing picking up off the waiver wire if he is still there for whatever reason in your league, because if we were going to get a month out of him, we know that he could be intriguing for some categories. Okay, so now our next player is going to be someone that I was avoiding entirely, but Kevin Love looks like he is expected to be back in mid-January from the calf injury, but Larry Nance Jr. has been filling in for those minutes so far. I want to see how the rotation should go back with Kevin Love coming in to Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland has been a lot better so far than most people wanted to give them credit for. I don't know if this is a small sample thing that we can project out for the rest of the season. Like I said, guys, I know it's annoying for me saying it at this point, but we are so early on in the fantasy basketball season that we really just need to make sure that we are taking a step back. We need to try to get more data points so we can evaluate these rotations. Now, our next player that we're going to talk about is going to be Evan Fournier. And here he left this game with back spasms. It looks like he should be back to this rotation very soon. So please do not worry about that. Just wanted to give that small disclaimer at the very end. And now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope you got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop that like, leave that comment, subscribe to the channel. That way you can join the flock in as well. Join the flock in our Discord chat, as there is so much going on there.